It was 2:17 a.m. in Washington, D.C. Deep beneath the city, inside a classified underground facility, the only light came from rows of glowing blue computer screens. The room was silent. So silent that even the sound of a keyboard echoed through the darkness. You sat alone in front of a massive curved monitor. A live map of Earth rotated slowly across the screen. Every continent. Every ocean. Every war. Every border. Everything was being watched. Then a robotic voice echoed through your headset. Satellite Raven 6 is now online. You immediately straightened in your chair. Because you didn't work for an ordinary government agency. You worked for the National Reconnaissance Office. The NRO. The secret agency most of the world had never even heard of. But the agency that watched the entire world from space. 3 years earlier, your life had been completely normal. You were just a cybersecurity analyst. Wake up. Go to work. Come home. That was your life. You lived alone in a small apartment in Washington. One rainy night, you came home exhausted and opened your laptop. A new email appeared on the screen. Unknown sender. The subject line contained only one word. Recruitment. You frowned. Probably spam. But the moment you opened the email, your blood ran cold. The message contained your entire life. Your school records. Deleted messages. Travel history. Private searches. Even things you had never told anyone. At the bottom of the email was a single sentence. We know what you can do. You immediately stood up and looked around your apartment. For the first time in your life. You truly felt watched. 2 days later, a black SUV parked outside your apartment building late at night. You watched through the curtains. 2 men stepped out wearing black suits. No badges. No expressions. A knock echoed at your door. You slowly opened it. One of the men looked directly into your eyes. Come with us. Who are you? You asked nervously. The man answered calmly. You already know. The SUV drove far outside the city. Eventually, it left the highway and entered empty desert roads. 4 hours later, you arrived at a giant underground facility hidden in the Nevada desert. A steel elevator descended deep beneath the ground. Armed guards stood at every checkpoint. Retina scanners. Security drones. Automatic weapons. Your heart pounded harder with every second. The elevator doors finally opened. And what you saw changed your life forever. Hundreds of glowing monitors. Satellite feeds. Military maps. Live global surveillance. Every person in the room worked in complete silence. Then an older man with gray hair approached you slowly. Welcome to the NRO. The next morning, you were taken into a dark briefing room. Only one giant screen illuminated the room. The instructor stood quietly in front of it. Most people believe the CIA controls global intelligence. He smiled slightly. They don't. The screen lit up. Earth appeared from space. Then dozens of satellites became visible orbiting the planet. Every missile launch. Every military movement. Every signal transmission. He turned toward you. We see it first. You sat frozen in silence. For the first time, you realized the world was never truly alone. Your training lasted for months. You learned. Asterisk satellite imaging. Asterisk signal interception. Facial recognition. Asterisk cyber warfare. Asterisk predictive surveillance. One day, your instructor brought you into a dark observation room. A satellite image appeared on the screen. Tell me what you see. You studied the image carefully. A normal city. Cars. Buildings. People. Nothing unusual, you answered. The instructor zoomed in. Then zoomed again. And again. Until finally, a man's wristwatch became visible. Your eyes widened. The instructor spoke quietly. We can read the time on his watch, from space. You couldn't speak. Then came your first real operation. An unidentified vessel had appeared in the Pacific Ocean. No country. No registration. No signal. You sat in the control room as the satellite slowly zoomed toward the ship. Armed men walked across the deck. Large missile containers lined the sides. One officer leaned closer to the screen. This isn't a cargo ship. Then suddenly, one of the men stopped walking. Slowly, he looked upward. Straight toward the satellite. Straight toward you. The entire room went silent. A senior analyst whispered. That's impossible. No human should have been able to see a satellite from that distance. But somehow, that man knew he was being watched. Something changes. Over the next several weeks, strange things began happening. Satellites started glitching randomly. Signals disappeared without explanation. Entire surveillance feeds went black. One night, you were working the late shift alone. Suddenly one of the monitors flickered violently. Static filled the screen. And hidden inside the static, you saw a face. Only for a second. A pale face. Empty eyes. Then the screen returned to normal. You jumped from your chair. Did anyone else see that? But nobody else in the room had seen anything. 2 weeks later, an emergency meeting was called. Massive steel doors sealed shut behind you. The room entered lockdown. The director walked inside. For the first time, you saw fear in his face. 3 months ago, he began slowly, one of our satellites captured something impossible. The screen displayed a nighttime view of the Atlantic Ocean. Then beneath the clouds, a massive shadow moved silently across the water. The room froze. The object was enormous. Far larger than any submarine. Possibly larger than an entire city. Then suddenly, it vanished. Not Russian. Not Chinese. Not American. The director stared at the image. We don't know what it is. That same night, alarms exploded throughout the facility. Red alert flashed across every monitor. An Arctic surveillance satellite had detected movement beneath the ice. You rushed to your station. The camera zoomed closer. And then you saw it. A giant hidden structure buried beneath the frozen ocean. Perfectly geometric. Like an underground facility hidden under the ice. One analyst whispered. Oh my God. Then suddenly the speakers crackled with static. A distorted voice echoed through the room. Stop watching. The entire room froze. Because the signal had somehow entered the satellite network itself. And technically, that should have been impossible. The facility entered immediate lockdown. Phones confiscated. Internet disabled. Armed guards stationed throughout every hallway. The director looked at the room carefully. If this leaks, global panic begins. You were assigned a single task. Find the source. For 48 straight hours, your team traced encrypted transmissions across the globe. Finally, a location appeared on the screen. Siberia. An abandoned Soviet military base. Official records claimed the base had been destroyed in 1987. But thermal scans showed something else. There was live activity beneath the ruins. A covert special forces team was deployed immediately. You remained inside the control room watching through live satellite feeds. Snowstorms covered the landscape as soldiers entered underground tunnels. Rust covered the walls. Lights flickered overhead. One soldier whispered nervously. "This place should be empty." Then they discovered a giant vault door. Strange symbols were carved into the metal. No known language matched the symbols. Explosives were placed. The vault exploded open. And everyone in the control room stopped breathing. The chamber inside was perfectly clean. As if someone had been using it recently. At the center stood a massive black machine connected to dozens of cables. And carved into the surface of the machine was the exact symbol of the NRO. Your blood turned cold. That was impossible. This base existed long before the NRO officially existed. One soldier slowly approached the machine. He reached out his hand. "Don't touch it," you shouted. But it was too late. The moment he touched the machine, every monitor in the control room flickered violently. Satellite feeds shut down one by one. GPS systems failed. Military radar disappeared. Communication networks collapsed. Around the world, chaos began spreading. Then words appeared across your screen. "We watched you first." Your heart pounded violently in your chest. Suddenly every screen went black. Only the red emergency lights remained. Then a hidden file automatically opened. Project Observer. Your trembling hands moved across the keyboard as you opened it. And the very first sentence stopped your breathing. NRO was never the first watcher. Your eyes widened. According to the file, in 1947, an unknown signal had been detected from deep space. It wasn't human. It wasn't military. It was a message. And the technology recovered from that signal had eventually become the foundation of the NRO. Meaning, humans had never truly created the surveillance system themselves. They were given the technology. And now, the original owners had returned. Suddenly every monitor in the control room powered back on. Earth appeared from space once again. But this time, thousands of unknown objects surrounded the planet in orbit. Silent. Motionless. Watching. Then the speakers echoed with one final message. Your observation period is over. And in that exact moment, the entire world lost power. Darkness. Silence. Fear. Because for the first time in human history, humanity realized something terrifying. Maybe they had never been the real watchers at all.